предложение со стороны американцев, которое нам представляется вполне приемлемым.
А где возможное место встречи какое?
Но я пока не могу говорить, хотя оно, в принципе, определено.
Считанные дни, это значит уже на следующей неделе? Вы же сказали дни, а не недели.
Ориентировочно, да, на следующей неделе. Сейчас будем работать как... Что? Где будет, скажите, я только что сказал.
А вот Рубио сказал, что теперь есть что обсуждать. То есть сигналы наши.
Рубио прав.
This is my video update on this Thursday afternoon, August the 7th, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And we are going to start things off with the Trump-Putin summit, which has been confirmed by both sides. The United States has confirmed that there will be a summit taking place in the next couple of days. And Russia has also confirmed that there will be a summit taking place. Ushakov, Putin's presidential aide, he said that the summit is confirmed. He also said that the United States presented a favorable deal to Russia. This is what Ushakov said. And Ushakov also said that it was the United States that initiated this entire process. It was the United States that wanted to meet with Putin, and that is why they sent Witkoff to Moscow. And it's the United States, according to Ushakov, that wants a bilateral meeting with Putin. Now, the United States, they claim that that Putin wanted Witkoff to travel to Moscow. Putin wanted to meet with Witkoff. And they also said yesterday that it was Russia that wants a bilateral meeting with Trump, and that Trump was open to the idea of meeting with Putin and with Russia. So the United States claims that it was Russia that initiated this whole process. Russia claims that it was the United States that initiated this whole process. Putin is meeting with the UAE. He has a meeting in Russia with United Arab Emirates, and Putin said that it doesn't matter who got the ball rolling, who started this process. He said what matters is that both sides want to talk, and Putin's correct on that. Dialogue is much better than what we had under Bidenopoulos, Greece's favorite son. But who do I think is saying the truth, telling the truth here, as far as who started all of this, who initiated this process? Russia is telling the truth, in my opinion, because it makes sense. Why would Witkoff travel to Moscow so that Putin could tell Witkoff that he wants to meet with Trump? That doesn't make any sense at all. If anything, if it was Russia that wanted to meet with Trump, if they wanted a bilateral meeting with the United States, then they would have sent Dmitriev to Washington, right? He would have gone to Washington. He would have been received by the President of the United States, and Dmitriev would have presented a deal, some sort of a framework for a deal, and he would have said, Mr. President, Mr. President of the United States, what do you say about a bilateral meeting with President Putin so we can discuss this framework? That makes sense, right? That makes sense. But Witkoff traveling to Moscow so that Putin can then tell Witkoff, hey, I want to meet with Trump, that doesn't make any sense at all, at all. So in my opinion, there's no doubt about it that it was the United States that started this whole process. It just makes sense. So we're close to a deal. That's the way things look. We are very close to some sort of a deal. And there's a lot of speculation as to what that deal is going to be. But for Putin to be meeting with Trump and for the vibes to be so positive from both sides, it means that something is going to be agreed on. And if I had to take a guess, and this is just a wild guess, I would say that Witkoff, and knowing Witkoff, what he said, listening to Witkoff over the past 4 or 5 months in various interviews, I imagine that what they presented to Putin was de facto recognition of the new territories, Zaporozhye, Kherson, Donetsk, Lugansk, and of course Crimea, but de facto recognition. No NATO, obviously, for Ukraine, and I would guess sanctions relief, significant sanctions relief. That would be my guess. And I would imagine there would have to be some sort of a component, if there really is a deal in the works, where the West does not arm Ukraine or does not arm Ukraine significantly. I imagine that would have to be part of any type of a framework deal. Otherwise, I can't see the use of negotiations. I can't see the purpose of these negotiations if you don't have something which says that the collective West is going to stop arming Ukraine, stop building up Ukraine's military. Anyway, that would be my guess. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's nothing in the works. Maybe this is all some sort of media PR stunt. Who knows? Maybe Putin believes that if he meets with Trump, he can convince Trump to see the reality of what is going on in Ukraine. And maybe Trump believes that if he meets with Putin face to face, then he'll be able to convince Putin to agree to Kellogg's ceasefire deal. That could also be a possibility. Trump tried to shoehorn the Green Goblin into all of this, right? But it looks like Russia's having none of it. Ushakov said that the United States proposed, after a bilateral meeting, a trilateral meeting with Trump, Putin, and Zelensky. But Ushakov said that the Russian side didn't even comment on this suggestion from the U.S. Russian media is reporting, and I quote, "At the suggestion of the American side, an agreement was agreed in principle to hold a bilateral summit meeting in the coming days," Ushakov said, quoted by RIA Novosti, adding that Moscow and Washington have begun preparations for the summit. Ushakov noted that the venue has been agreed upon and will be announced a little later. According to Ushakov, Witkoff mentioned the option of a trilateral meeting at the negotiations in the Kremlin, but it was not specifically discussed. Russia did not comment on it. "We propose, first of all, to focus on preparing a bilateral meeting with Trump and consider the main thing to be that this meeting is successful and effective," the presidential aide indicated. I could definitely see a scenario where Trump and Putin meet. They agree to something along the lines of what I just said. And Zelensky's in some other room, and then they call Zelensky in, and they call him in to sign this agreement. I could see something like that unfolding. That I could see. I wouldn't be surprised if in the agreement, if there is an agreement, and this is all speculation on my part, but if there is an agreement, I would not be surprised if it has elections in Ukraine having to happen very soon, within the next couple of months, so that the Green Goblin can exit the scene. I can see that as well in some sort of an agreement that was presented by Witkoff to the United States. But no doubt about it, the United States, at least in my opinion, I don't have any doubts that the United States initiated this entire process. And I'll tell you another reason why the United States initiated this process, why Trump is so hot on this idea. He wants this thing to happen because he put himself in a box, man. Trump does not want to place the 100% bone-crushing sanctions or the 500% Lindsey Graham bone-crushing sanctions because he knows, deep down inside, he knows that if he goes ahead with these sanctions, he's screwed. The U.S. economy is going to get hit really hard, and that's going to damage Trump in a big way. And I also believe, and this is just another guess on my end, that there are people in the Trump White House who do understand the situation on the front lines, and they are telling Trump, you know what, Pokrovsk is going to fall very, very quickly. And when Pokrovsk falls, then Russia's got a straight shot to the Dnieper. Kherson is going to fall. Seversk, Kupiansk. After Kupiansk, we're looking at Slavyansk. All of these areas are just going to crumble. Ukraine's military is in a terrible state. And all of this is going to happen very quickly, say within the next 3 to 6 months, Mr. President. You don't want this to happen, so let's get a deal. It reminds me of a Debaltsevo 2015 type of scenario, 2014-15 type of thing that's going on. And I can see the United States and the Trump administration in a panic about a big defeat that they're going to suffer in Ukraine. And so you might as well convince Putin to some sort of a deal. It may not be everything that Putin is demanding or asking for in June 2024. I don't know. Maybe it is. But it could be good enough to convince Putin to agree. It will not be the first time that Putin and Russia has made concessions to the West in order to get some sort of an end to a conflict or a ceasefire or a freeze to a conflict. So that's the situation. You know, the Trump White House, they got way ahead of the narrative of a meeting between Putin and Trump. They said that Putin wants the meeting. They said that Trump is open to the meeting. They even mentioned that the meeting could take place in the White House or in Switzerland or Qatar, all countries that are vassals to the United States. Well, of course, Switzerland, Qatar, just taking place in the White House. Well, you know, that's the ultimate power move if that was anywhere near reality, right? The meeting taking place in the White House nonsense. But this was all going through the media and social media yesterday. And they got way ahead of the story. It took Russia a full 24 hours to finally get a statement from Ushakov where he said that it was the United States that got the ball rolling in all of this, man. You know, Witkoff went to Moscow. He fooled Putin. He fooled Putin, man. He went to Moscow and he presented the deal. He said, Trump wants to meet with you. This is just a guess. Once again, a guess on my part. I'm doing a lot of guessing today. And he probably told Putin, look, Trump wants to meet with you. Here's what we're ready to concede to. Putin said, you know what? I think we have a basis for some talks now. And Witkoff then probably told Putin, just don't say anything. Just keep quiet and let me go back to D.C. and discuss with Trump. And then we'll finalize everything. And then he went back to D.C. and the Trump media machine got the ball rolling, and they made it look like Trump was the stronger, Putin was the weaker, right? Putin wanted the meeting. I said I'm open to the meeting, so I'm the stronger, peace through strength, and all of that stuff. And it took the Russians 24 hours to finally get their media and info war act together. Anyway, what matters is that you have dialogue. Putin is right. What matters is that you have dialogue. And maybe we get a deal. Maybe not. Maybe not. Think about it like this. Even if Trump agrees to a deal, I would not be surprised if the neocons and the Europeans mess it all up, right? How are they going to accept the deal? especially the neocons. They got $55 billion in the pipeline to go to Project Ukraine. It's there, ready and waiting for Trump to green light it. So even if there is some sort of an agreement, you know, the Europeans and the neocons are going to do everything in their power to muck it up. So that's the big news, man. What do you guys think? What do you guys think is going on? Hard to say, but listening to the statements, reading the statement from Putin just about an hour ago, it does look like they presented Russia with a framework, at least a framework that they're ready to talk about. So it would have to be recognition of the regions de facto. De jure is probably too much for the collective West to accept, but de facto recognition, no NATO, no sanctions, and no weapons to Ukraine, or certain weapons may be allowed, but other weapons may not. I don't know. And elections. And you know, if you're the United States, honestly, if you're Trump, it's a good deal if you're the United States. What do you care, man? If you're the Trump administration, what do you care, right? You're already pounding the Europeans, man. Your EU-US trade deal has already embarrassed the Europeans enough. What do you care if the regions are recognized, Ukraine doesn't get into NATO, and sanctions are lifted, and then you could do business with Russia? That's why I think lifting sanctions is a big part of this deal, because there are parts of the U.S. side, Witkoff being one of them, and there are parts of the Russian side, Dmitriev being part of it, which definitely want to get business started between the United States and Russia. I mean, Dmitriev, who's the CEO of Russia's investment fund, he's been posting on X all kinds of positive things. I mean, he's saying this is going to be a deal. A deal is very close, he's hinting at. Yeah, you can start up Nord Stream again. Start up Nord Stream. Just be careful about Gilligan and the skipper. Start up Nord Stream. The U.S. can sell gas to the Europeans. All good, man. Anyway, I think that's it. I think that is it. You know, yesterday, as all of this news was coming out, the White House published a fact sheet. President Donald J. Trump addresses threats to the United States by the government of the Russian Federation. So as you have all of this positive news with regards to the conflict in Ukraine and relations between Russia and the United States, the White House publishes a fact sheet which says that Russia is the enemy of the United States. It actually publishes a fact sheet which says that the Russian Federation is a threat to the United States, to the national interests of the United States, and the conflict in Ukraine is a national interest of the United States, and Russia threatens Ukraine. And all of this is in this fact sheet. Paints a very bad picture of Russia, of U.S. Russia relations, and pretty much when you read this fact sheet, it pretty much paints Russia as the enemy. Like Russia is the enemy of the United States, and Project Ukraine is of vital national interest to the United States of America. It's all in this fact sheet. So Trump, he's still going after BRICS. He is still putting pressure on BRICS. He's still looking to cause chaos in BRICS. I'm calling this the Mean Girls approach. Right? The Trump administration, the way I'm looking at it is that they think if they can cause chaos and division between the BRICS members, or at least between the core BRICS members, then that will be enough to slow down BRICS' momentum, maybe even break BRICS apart, maybe turn BRICS member states against each other, And so that's the mean girls approach, right? You try to infiltrate the clique, or you do infiltrate the clique, and then you try to pit them against each other so that you can break apart the group. That's what he's trying to do, no doubt about it. And if he can do it, then it will preserve the U.S.'s unipolar empire, right? Yeah. If he can derail BRICS, then we still have the hegemon preserved, and the USD will remain the reserve currency for the next century going forward. So he said that he's going to put 50% tariffs now on India. So it's gone from 25 to 50. He also said he's going to put more tariffs on China, or he hinted at putting more tariffs on China, though he didn't give a number. Brazil is at 50% as well. And let's just say you get no, because tomorrow is Tariff Armageddon, right? Friday is Tariff Armageddon. I hope all you guys got your tickets, because I think the event is selling out fast. I know I got my tickets. I'm almost in the front row of the Tariff Armageddon event. But anyway, tomorrow is Tariff Armageddon. And I don't know if it's going to actually happen. I don't know if he's going to actually pull the trigger on the 100% tariffs. But let's just say there is no deal. Nothing is agreed on, and we get no deal. Then that would mean that if Trump does go forward with Tariff Armageddon, that India would be at 150% tariffs, and Brazil would be at 150% tariffs, and right now China would be at 135% tariffs, right? Because China is at 35% tariffs at the moment. So if we get no deal, if there's a meeting between Trump and Putin and nothing comes out of it, and Trump does decide to go forward with Tariff Armageddon, then you're looking at massive tariffs against the BRICS countries. And from what I understand, there's going to be a lot of carve-outs in these tariffs as well. So while the number is high, the effect may not be so damaging to India or Brazil or China, for that matter, because there are going to be a lot of carve-outs. For example, from what I understand, pharmaceuticals with regards to India and stuff like that. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's see what happens tomorrow if we do get Tariff Armageddon. BRICS, though, BRICS is uniting, man. BRICS is uniting, which is a good sign. This has been a really good test for BRICS, actually. The Trump administration is coming after them hard. They're looking to cause division and chaos inside of BRICS. And BRICS is pulling together. Lula is saying that BRICS needs an emergency summit. They all need to get together so they can talk about how they approach the tariffs in the United States as a BRICS group, together united, which is a good initiative from Lula. We actually said this would happen on a Duran video from about a week ago. We actually said that what's going to most likely happen is that BRICS is going to call a meeting, some sort of an emergency meeting, and the purpose of that meeting would be how to approach the U.S. tariff attack together, because together the U.S. can't take down BRICS. It can only take down BRICS if it breaks them apart, if it isolates India, if it isolates Russia, if it isolates China. Then you can take out Brazil, South Africa, and you can take them apart one by one. But if they're united, then there's no chance for the collective West of the United States to win. So that's Lula's initiative. Good on you, Lula. And everyone's on board. All the core BRICS members are definitely on board. Look, Putin met with the UAE. UAE is a member of BRICS as well. Modi is going to be traveling to China. The first time he's gone to China in 7 years, I believe. 7 years since a leader from India has gone to China, right? And what else? I think Modi is also going to be traveling to Moscow. And India and Russia signed a strategic cooperation deal as well yesterday. So they also signed a partnership. So BRICS is coming together. Trump is uniting BRICS. Yeah, India's Modi to visit China for the first time in 7 years as tensions with U.S. rise. The 11th session of India-Russia Working Group on Modernization and Industrial Cooperation held in New Delhi. India and Russia reaffirmed strategic partnership, signed protocol to deepen cooperation in aluminium, fertilizers, railways, and mining technology. And Brazil's Lula proposes BRICS leaders meeting to respond to Trump. Lula said, I'm going to try to discuss with them about how each one is doing in this situation, what the implications are for each country, so we can make a decision. According to the Brazilian leader, Trump is attempting to dismantle multilateralism and unilateralism, where he negotiates one-on-one with other countries, where the U.S. has the advantage. So what does Lindsey Graham say to all of this? What does Lindsey Graham say to the attack on BRICS, to going after India with 50% tariffs, to not buying Russian oil from India? What is Lindsey Graham, the foreign policy president of the United States, saying? Well, I'm going to read you what Lindsey Graham says in a post that he made on X, because everyone is curious about Lindsey Graham's X posts. He said President Trump's decision to go after countries that prop up Putin's war machine by buying cheap Russian oil is a game changer. These countries are about to pay a long overdue and heavy price. To my European friends who have been helping Ukraine, it is much appreciated. However, it is not lost upon me or others that you are buying oil from India, that India originally purchased from Russia. We are watching. This needs to stop now. We are watching. This needs to stop now. In other words, to our European friends from Lindsey Graham, to our European friends, you guys better sanction yourselves and sanction yourselves now. Stop buying oil from India. Make yourselves poor. You're not poor enough. As U.S. vassals, you need to become much poorer. The destruction of Europe. The destruction of Europe is taking shape. Notice no European leaders invited to this meeting that is going to take place between Trump and Putin, right? No Merz, no Stammer, no little Napoleon. None of them have been invited. They weren't even discussed. Actually, Trump talked to them after he announced the results of the, where can I put this? The results of the Witkoff meeting. Then Trump briefed Merz, I believe Stammer, Stubb from Finland, Rutte, and Zelensky. He had them all on a call, and he told them how things are going to go down. Zelensky actually came out with a statement after he spoke to Trump, and he said that sanctions are working. The sanctions pressure is working, and that Russia is now inclined to make a deal. So Zelensky made it out as if Russia is the weaker, as if Russia is folding to the U.S. pressure, to the collective West pressure. You see the media game. Russia delayed in getting out the message, the real message, and they allowed the collective West to take over the messaging, and that's exactly what they did. So even Zelensky came out with a message saying that sanctions are working, Putin is folding, and now he's inclined to make a deal, all because of the strength of the sanctions and of President Trump's tariff policies. So what else should we discuss today? Does that cover everything? I think that covers everything. Yeah, Kirill Dmitriev, thank you all for your kind wishes for a successful visit of Steve Witkoff in Moscow. Dialogue will prevail. Yeah, he's saying that often now. Dialogue will prevail. Kirill Dmitriev, he wants business to resume between Russia and the United States. Trump's Truth Social post from yesterday was my special envoy, Steve Witkoff, just had a highly productive meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Great progress was made. Afterwards, I updated some of our European allies. Everyone agrees this war must come to a close, and we will work towards that in the days and weeks to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, let's move on. Let's move on and let's discuss from Fox News. Putin told Witkoff that he wants to meet with Trump. That's Fox News. They played it well, man. They played it well. Trump posts the Truth Social message that I just read out. Then the New York Times had the leak about the meeting. All of this was planned. Then the New York Times posted the article about a meeting between Trump and Putin. Then Fox News talked about how Putin told Witkoff that it's Russia that wants a bilateral meeting. And then Fox News reported about a possible venue being the White House or Switzerland or Qatar. And Zelensky posted how Russia's folding. Yeah, they had the whole thing laid out. Trump said that he's open to meeting with Putin. If Putin wants a meeting with me, I'm open to it. I don't like it. But I'm open to it. Right? And yeah, they played it well. The media war. The media war is what the collective West does best. No doubt about it. The real war is what Russia does best. And it's the real war that matters. And the collapse of Pokrovsk and the entire front line reminds me of a Debaltsevo moment. We will see what President Putin does. So, the POW situation, this is an interesting story. So there was going to be an all-for-all POW exchange between Russia and Ukraine. And the reports from the Russian side, from Medinsky and Russian media, is that Ukraine is leaving 1,000. There's a lot of music here. Let's go around that way. So the reports are that they're going to be leaving 1,000 POWs stranded with Russia. They're not going to take them back. And so Russia's jumped on this. Obviously, they've jumped on this, and they're using it to their advantage. And they're saying, you know, how could Ukraine leave their own soldiers stranded, not part of this all in all POW exchange that we've agreed on? And they're right. How could Zelensky do this? How do you explain such an action to not want your soldiers back, or at least to not want 1,000 of your soldiers back? And I think this is explained by Russians with an attitude. You can hear the cicadas out in full force. So Russians with an attitude said, I understand this thing is a great propaganda opportunity for Russia. Zelensky is leaving his people to rot, the abandoned prisoners, and so on and so on. Very emotional and all that. But the real reason is much more prosaic. The Ukrainians simply don't have 1,000 Russian POWs. Bingo, man. Spot on. The Duran, yes. Yeah, spot on. Spot on analysis from Russians with an attitude. They just don't have 1,000 POWs, Russian POWs. So they can't exchange all for all. I agree with that analysis. So Peter Siarto gave an interview, and he said, the Hungarian foreign minister, he said that Ukraine does not belong in the European Union. He actually said does not belong with the civilized countries of the EU or something like that. He said the civilized world or the civilized countries of Europe. I don't agree with him there because I don't consider the EU to be civilized countries. But anyway, he said that. But then he also said that this narrative about Ukraine protecting Europe, protecting the EU and defending the EU, he said is nonsense because Ukraine is not part of the EU, so they're not protecting the EU, and Russia's not a threat to the EU, and Russia has not attacked the EU, so don't believe this narrative about Ukraine protecting the European Union. Basically, Siarto said in this interview that this is just all spin, and this is the EU's way of trying to keep everyone supporting Project Ukraine with the myth that Ukraine is protecting all of Europe. Siarto said this is nonsense. Plain nonsense, according to the foreign minister of Hungary. You know what else Siarto admitted? One sec. Loud music, so I had to turn the audio down. So another thing that Siarto admitted, or that he revealed, was that, let's go this way, was that Ukraine has not investigated the murder of the Hungarian citizen that they tried to send to the front lines. They haven't done anything, he said, on that. And he said, this is a Hungarian citizen, and Ukraine is not doing anything to get to the bottom of what happened to our citizen. Why was he killed? And so I thought that was an interesting revelation from Siarto. Anyway, let's do some more news, and then we can get to a clown world. I always have to be careful walking through these streets because a lot of music, so I'm going to turn the audio down here as well. Okay, I can turn the audio back up again. Okay, we are at the Limassol Castle. So shall we do some more news stories? Or at least one more news story? Trump yesterday announced some big investments from Apple, $100 billion that Apple is going to invest in the United States. At least that's what Tim Cook said yesterday in the White House. He also said that he will be placing 100% tariffs on chips. 100%, unless they're manufactured in the United States. And I'm talking about potato chips, by the way. You know, Pringles, Lay's, Doritos, stuff like that. I'm just joking. That was a bad joke. Really bad joke, man. I'm going to hear it in the comments. Anyway, yeah, 100% tariff on chips. This will exempt Apple because Tim Cook was there and he got an exemption. And there are many people who believe that this $100 billion investment from Tim Cook is not going to happen. That basically Tim Cook is just telling Trump what Trump wants to hear so that he can get his exemption from this 100% tariff for Apple. By the way, Samsung, from what I understand, South Korea's Samsung is also exempt, as is according to CNBC, TSMC is also going to be exempt. So Apple, Samsung, TSMC, they're going to be exempt from this 100% tariff. But yeah, there are a lot of people that believe that Tim Cook was just telling Trump what he wanted to hear. U.S. tech workers, this isn't $600 billion in new money or dedicated to manufacturing. It's Tim Cook's classic gimmick of repackaging planned spending to grab headlines, just so Apple can receive tariff exemptions. He did it in 2019 with China tariffs and just pulled it off again under Trump's new India tariffs, with iPhones getting a carve-out. Tim Cook ain't bringing manufacturing back to the United States. He's just buying time until Trump leaves office and someone favorable to offshoring is elected. And then we see an article here from Bloomberg, Apple's India exports to emerge unscathed from Trump's tariffs for now. Yeah, they were supposed to, Apple was supposed to invest $500 billion over 4 years. And from what I understand, they haven't really invested much of that $500 billion. And now it's going to be $600 billion. So that's the point that everyone is making. And that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I think Zero Hedge said that Apple's total CapEx was $43 billion last year. 1 second. I think I've got the Zero Hedge article bookmarked. With CEO Tim Cook standing next to him in the Oval Office as the president announced a fresh and very laughable $100 billion investment plan by Apple, which it would then add to the $500 billion already pledged over the next 4 years, which is ridiculous since Apple spent $43 billion in capex in the past 4 years and generated less than $100 billion in net income in its best year. Trump announced he would impose a 100% tariff on chip and semiconductor imports, but would exempt companies moving production back to the United States. Basically, the read on this story is that this is all show and nothing is really going to, of substance, nothing really of substance is going to happen. But we'll wait and see. So let's go around. And I think now we can get to a clown world and we can wrap up this video from a very hot Limassol. Richard the Lionheart got married at this castle. It's just out there, man. It's just all these stones are just laying around, man. Unbelievable, huh? It's cool. It's also a bit unbelievable. So how we doing on time? Oh my God, long video. Okay, let's just do one clown world, one correction from a clown world from the other day. Bild is temporarily withdrawing the article about the suspected Putin's daughter. Remember that article that the New York Post ran and that Bill also ran? According to Bild, on Sunday, in an article about statements made by Luisa Rozova, the alleged daughter of Russia's dictator Vladimir Putin, she therefore spoke in detail about Putin and her life in exile. Now the suspicion is being expressed on various internet channels that these statements were published on a fake account that is said to look deceptively similar to a real Rozova page. Bild examines this suspicion in detail and withdraws the article about Luisa Rozova as a precaution. In other words, the whole Putin's daughter thing, and she's now siding with Ukraine, that Mark Levin posted on X, is BS. Basically, that's what Bild is admitting. And I said it in my video update as I was reading the first paragraph of that New York Post story, which said the alleged secret daughter of Putin, right? The alleged secret daughter. It was ridiculous, man. Now Bild is admitting that this was fake news. So they retracted the whole story. And one more clown world, and that is that Trump was asked about Epstein and the Epstein list yesterday by the media, and Trump's response was that it's a Democrat hoax and that the list is BS. That is what Trump said. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch. I will see everybody tomorrow. Take care.